Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Leadnap Gaming. This week we're going to step back from the small print and see an alarming trend in Star Citizen development, and someone is going to win an Argo Mole Carbon Edition.
Systems activated. Systems on.
Lately, Eagle Dynamics has been taking some flack for their definition of early access, and in particular their current list of aircraft that are available for players to use, and what they have in plan while measured against completing them as sold. For Star Citizen players, the complaints probably seem pretty juvenile or petty, since many a citizen would love to have their Polaris in hangar even if the MFDs didn't work, or their $700 Nautilus on hand, even if mines weren't yet in the game. Of course, there are many of us who play both, and we're taking it on both sides. Here's the thing though, Eagle Dynamics and Cloud Imperium Gaming are not unique in their use of early access alpha play for cash model. Most of Steam runs on this system, and the number of software developers who have shifted to this is most of them. Problematically, once you use this infusion of cash once, you're doomed to a cycle of repeating it. The last part is really what we're here to talk about today. There were reports a few weeks back that Robert sold some additional shares off, and for some, generally those who wish to see the project die, this was further proof of the scam in the end. Whether he did or did not is irrelevant, because with this model in mind, there's a concerning trend before us, and I don't want to jump to the Book of Star Citizen revelations from it. Let's rewind to November of last year. What a different time that was, right? Here we were biting the distasteful sandwich of two-team development and staggered ship releases for 3.8. What this did for 3.8 was ensure that the promised shipload was, for the most part, deliverable. We saw what we've not seen in quite some time, a real patch worth of ship deliveries. When we got the Cutlass Red, Carrack, Mole, and Prowler. Can you remember the last patch you got 4 different ships? Now, yes, the Prowler was pushed for what was originally intended to be a week to a different patch, and the Mole wasn't on the roadmap. Still though, through most of 2019, getting a single delivery per patch was a good patch. 3.8 delivered 3. At CitizenCon, the future was looking bright too. While CIG refused to say which or all, we were looking at the Hercules showing up this summer. Rumors of a Taurus rework finishing this year abounded, Cutlass Blue, and a vote by volume project for maybe a ground vehicle or a new alien ship? No result was ever mentioned, by the way. Looking back at 2019, the signs were good too. We got a rework of the 300 series, a release of the full Reliant series, a Warden rework was completed, and it included 2 hulls not previously available. The 890 Jump was the first capital ship to enter the verse, and the Banu Defender rolled out. This isn't an all-inclusive list, but we also received the Mantis, the Mole, Nautilus, Star Runner, and Pisces, 5 non-forecasted projects. In fact, if you add up all of the ships and vehicles additions for 2019, there were 20. Though we should keep in mind that this includes things like the Ursa Fortuna, and doesn't count other variants like the Expedition Pisces. Nor have I included the Carrack or Cutlass Red in that tally. I mentioned this back in November too, though not with the same alarm I do today. The staggered 3.8 releases would create an artificial progress. Looking at development for 2019, CIG released roughly 4 new vehicles per quarter. We're now entering the 5th month of 2020, halfway through quarter 2, and CIG has released nothing yet. You can give them the 2 ships I didn't count already, the Red and the Carrack, and today the Prowler. This isn't good, and that probably seems obvious, and given current world events, it might be easy to sweep this under the Rona rug. However, the Carrack and the Red were already pushed off before China even mentioned a virus. The Prowler too, though the last few weeks of delay can certainly be chalked up to that. The point here isn't to point at CIG and say, "How dare you?" Far from it. The point is of concern. There is no income stream in 2020. Sure, the Cutlass Red did its sale in 2020, and it carried with the Mole sale too for a nice post-holiday account balance. The Carrack, however, blew out its major cash grab in November, and the Prowler, while looking cool, priced at almost $400, is only going to attract collectors who don't care about it being absolutely useless in-game. The M50 rework has been pushed even further back, a slam dunk gone. The Hercules has fallen off the map. And while this is a prediction entirely from me, I think it will be the crown jewel of the 2950 CitizenCon. So November. Tied with the Crusader-themed convention looks to be the Star Runner line, at a whopping 10% completed so far. It isn't that they don't have the time to do these, but we're one unforecast concept announcement down for 2020, and while there's no rule to when and if they announced, by now CIG should have announced one, even if it was just a concept ship. The ship pipeline is idling quietly in the back of the warehouse, and that means there's no income showing up. Alone, this shouldn't be too big of a deal. None of the secret projects released this early last year. The summer could be alive with really cool new concepts and ships we've never heard of until now, and there certainly is room for a few ships that are not on paper publicly that would fill some urgent needs. Looking at you, small refinery ships. It would be easy to say that a major effort is being put into Squadron 42, and that a hostile player base is caused not to push loopless ships like repair ships out. After all, 3.9 is all about bounty hunting on paper, and the Cuddy Blue, 20% completed, will be out in 4.0, so never mind. 4.0 is the bounty hunting patch for 2018. Remember, there is room for concern on this line before moving to the others. Income aside, we were told in January to wait, and that after the production planning meetings of January, the roadmap would be updated. We would see all the ships planned for the year populate into 4.2 and beyond. However, the items that were in the 2020 patch cycles listed are all dead. 3.9 has a lone entry of the Prowler from 3.8. 4.0 includes a rework and final variant that we know at this point involves literally changing one room on a Cutlass. 4.1 has the Star Runner all by itself, and I'm not trying to rehash the roadmap as trash debate, but CIG income is based on ship sales, and at least 25% of last year's products by release, this is a huge problem. These signs are not alone either. Orison has been pushed back, again probably to CitizenCon. The white box image of the Herc we saw last week indicates that none of the Crusaders Industries' detail work is approved or completed. We moved into an economic downturn worldwide, one that is hopefully short, but I would expect last year's summer buyers to be a little more conservative this time around. The good news then, smaller projects like the Star Runner, M50, and Cutlass Blue that are less expensive on the market should find solid storefront, and these projects consume far less labor hours than, say, an 890 jump. Like the financial books for CIG, we can't see the real development pipeline, but the tea leaves don't paint a good picture in the bottom of the mug. Last March, CIG repainted an Ursa rover and sold it with LTI, which was very successful. Not only did they not bother making an Irish edition this year, but last weekend instead demonstrated such effort was wasted on the top group of backers by throwing a little bit of gold on a 600. A rework that honestly probably took 15 minutes. I've been painting 3D models all month. I have a very good idea of how long that really took. Worse, you can't even sell the Executive 600. And while the 600 might be one of my favorite ships, not only do I already own one, but I'm not about to pony up 20 grand for one either. Are you? I can't say for sure, but I would suspect the owners of Executive 600s would rather have one of the many ships waiting in concept in their hangars to be released instead. It's easy to say today, as the world is locked down and all businesses are in rough waters, that CIG has major problems ahead this year. However, these problems were all foretold well before anyone thought whole offices would be packed up and moved home. In previous years, after mid-January meetings, CIG has announced big plans, admittedly that they never achieved anyways, but they failed to even do that this year, and then every month since they've scratched more and more off. Additionally, CIG's marketing team is asleep at the wheel as millions of players and potential players sit at home waiting to go back to work, and while almost every other video game developer jumped at the chance to draw a crowd, CIG demonstrated that March and April of 2020 wasn't any different. No sales, no promotions, nothing to draw people into the verse. And when the only real cash bump from an M50 rework or Cutlass Blue was going to be from new players that didn't buy them on release, that's a problem. It isn't all doom and gloom though. There are some reasons to look ahead and say this isn't going to hold entirely true 6 months from now. 3.8, 3.9, 4.0, all have major foundational game technologies crammed into them. And a wise project manager might hold off throwing more things into the mix that are going to need retuning. While we wait for those technologies, the art teams are hard at work crafting Orison, Pyro, and the Aaron Halo, the last one being very important for mine gameplay. We're further in the year than CIG is with any of their projects for 2020. It's taken 5 months to finish the production plans from 2019, and that would be fine if 2020's projects were rolling off the production lines ready for big sales. Today, however, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, and while that means nothing new for the player base to get hyped about, the even bigger concern is 5 months of income opportunity lost and a bleak forecast ahead. While the ship production department might be waiting for action, CR4Y7's personal hangar is getting expanded because they just won a fancy Argo Mole carbon. Congratulations, and let's not stand on ceremony and forget to get in touch with me at the address below. Let's get this mole out of my hangar and into yours. Like I said earlier, this video wasn't intended to be downcast and gloomy. I intended to alert the base that the writing on the wall doesn't have good things to predict, and that I hope CIG pulls a rabbit out of the hat and we're quickly hit with a big surprise. CIG has a hefty war chest, and while little of these issues are related to an earthly virus, thankfully there are many governmental programs that are likely going to help buoy them through this apparent dry spell. While their marketing team might be asleep at the wheel, you should jump behind yours and join me in the verse, because 3.9 is finally here. I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys enjoyed my trip to New Babbage, kind of seeing it for the first time. I'll release more videos here in the future with more stuff about it and more stuff about the Prowler, but I think we're good for today. So as always, don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you all next time.